Are you wondering how you make your dog a service dog? Well, I'm going to discuss that in today's video of Walking and Talking. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Walking and Talking. If you're new here, these are largely unedited videos that I just kind of discuss or talk to my camera, or you guys, while I'm walking my dog. So that's about it. I tend to have a lot of ideas when I'm walking, so I guess it just gets the brain flowing. So today we're going to talk about making your dog your service dog. So typically this is brought on, I've usually heard this conversation a lot on Facebook forums, or I actually had a comment on one of my videos about this, but it's like, okay, I just got a service dog, like doctor's note, how do I train my existing dog to be a service dog? Or maybe you just heard about service dogs and you're like, okay, how do I train my dog to be my service dog? Because I think I need a service dog, or I want a service dog. So first off, if you're on you have a doctor's note, you're probably on, stop pulling, stop. You're probably on the right track. So first off, you need a disability. Okay, you need a disability that your dog can help with. So just being emotional support is not a service dog. It is not a task that a service dog can do. It says it right in the ADA. It has to do a specific task for your disability, and not just be trained to do a task because that's like a demo dog. If you don't need that task as part of your health problems, it doesn't count. So that's the first thing, is your dog needs to be trained to do a task. I would say the first thing you need to do is read the ADA. I'm going to link down below their quick FAQ guide, which I would recommend you read. That's a quick, easy read. I think it's only like 3 pages. But you really need to know the ADA law, which is the Americans with Disability Act law, which is what protects and gives access rights to service dogs. Oh man, I'm getting winded. Stop. So, do that first. Now, do know that service dogs in training do not have the same access rights as service dogs. So, you need to look at your state laws, which is the next thing you're going to do, and see if your state laws allow service dogs in training public access. I am in California, and this is one of the states that does recognize service dogs in training as service dogs. So you need to look up your state's requirement, because that's going to kind of dictate how you're going to go about your training. But you got to do those 2 things first. Kind of think about your task, do some research on the ADA, look up your state law so you know what you're going to be dealing with as far as your laws are concerned. And then the next thing is you need to evaluate your dog's temperament, alright? Temperament is going to be how they normally react to stuff. So if they're a bit of a shy dog, and they're going to be shy with everything, it's going to be really hard to train them to do public access. There's a lot of scary things out in the world. To train them to get over their fear, you're going to do a lot of confidence building. That takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy. So yes, you can do it, but just know it's going to take a little bit longer. It's going to take a lot of patience, probably going to take a little bit extra money, because you're going to have to, so many bees, use a lot of professional trainer help. So keep that in mind. Also, temperament, if they're very bitey and they are aggressive at all, they have aggressive tendencies. They tend to not like certain people. They growl, they bark aggressively, or standoffishly. probably not the best service dog candidate. A service dog cannot pose a threat in any way to the public. So, it cannot be aggressive at all. So that's going to probably be a no if your dog has any kind of those guarding tendencies, or to the point where they are shy, but they've been pushed to the point that they have learned that biting gets people to back off. So a fear biter, basically. So not actually aggressive, but a fear biter. Probably not going to be a good service dog. Alright, I would not advise even starting training with that kind of dog. Alright, so temperament. Look at your dog's temperament. Can your dog handle lots of stimulus? Can your dog handle being out in a public environment? Does your dog like training? Because there's a lot of training involved. So if your dog just has no interest in training, probably going to be really, really hard to train. So evaluate your dog's temperament. The next thing you need to evaluate is your dog's age, because age does play a big factor. Hopefully, if you have a 1 or 2 year old dog, pet dog, would probably be the best case scenario as far as age is concerned. And you've already done some basic, pet training. You went to Petco, you did the sit down, they know sit down, stay. Probably pretty high rate of success. They're at a good age and they have some basics down. Now, if your dog is 6 and they barely know sit, like you have to ask them like 5 times for them to sit, probably going to be a lot harder to train everything your dog needs to train when they have no basis in training, because there is a certain amount of time that you're literally teaching your dog how to be trained. And really what that is teaching them that training is fun and that you want to do it and this is how we communicate and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of time. It doesn't take forever for older dogs to learn this. Alright, get that straight. We're not going into the myth that an older dog cannot be trained, or an older dog takes longer to train. Sometimes they take a lot shorter to be trained. Alright? Sorry, I'm messing with the light a lot. So keep that in mind. If you have a 1 to 2 year old dog, it's already been socialized a little bit, has some basic obedience, you could probably get done in maybe a year, depending on your training level skills. If you've never trained a dog before in your life, it might take you a little longer. It might take you a lot of extra trainers. Do you have the funds for that, So lots of consideration with that. So one thing that we really got to look at with age is how long is your dog's working career going to be. Alright, so typically for like a mobility dog, a dog that does bracing, wheelchair pulling, something that's going to be a lot more taxing on their body. Again, this is probably going to be a bigger dog because you want to do, you want to have a good weight ratio and height ratio between you and your dog, so you're not putting so much strain on your dog. But that's like a different video. So there's some graphs and stuff out there you can look up, but some suggestions. Basically, get in contact with a vet, ask a vet, and see what they think, because everyone has a slightly different opinion. Elsa, come on. So anyway, so a mobility service dog is not going to work as long because larger breeds do not live as long. So yes, this is kind of sad. We're talking about when your dog's going to die, but it's something that you really do need to think about. So mobility dogs typically retire between 6 and 7. Sometimes they can go to 8 if they have really good hips, really good health, and you're not having a lot of mobility tasks that they need to do, like really heavy mobility tasks. So, but it really depends on their health, how long they're going to go. Next, we have like your medical alert dogs and your medical response dogs, and your all over multi-purpose service dogs. They can go till 10. Typically they go to at least 8, but a lot of times they'll go till 10 if they really love working and enjoy working and everything. So if you're starting your dog at 4 for like a multi-purpose dog, you could have a decent working career, even though that's a pretty late start, would be starting at 4, because it typically takes 2 to 3 years to train a service dog, everything that they need to know, all the socialization. So that's why I'm saying, if you start at 1 or 2 years old and they have already been, socialized, they've had basic obedience, you're ahead of the game, right? You're doing pretty well. They might need another year or 2, but you would have a pretty long working career with that dog. That dog, I would say yes. You have a good head start, and you're gonna know the dog at that point. You're gonna know their weaknesses and what they really excel at, and you could probably know, if you're even thinking about it, you probably know that they might make a good service dog. So they're confident, they're stable. They don't get scared easily. They're not very stranger danger, because a lot of creepy people out of the world, and they'll creep your dog out, and your dog cannot react to those people. Also, a lot of annoying kids that like to run up and grab doggy tails and ears, and the dog cannot react to those. So that's another video talking about the fact that service dogs need to be very neutral. So yeah, do some quick math. Look up your dog's breed. You probably have like a mixed breed. Look up both of them. Kind of like do the averages. Like my family dog was, first family dog was a Border Collie Chow mix. They both live actually pretty decently long. I think Border Collies typically live a little longer than Chows. And she lived about the average before her hip started giving out, and we put her down because it was just not nice to have her not be able to walk. So, but you gotta look at that, all right? It's a really hard decision. I know it's more forefront in my mind right now because I also have my first service dog was my pet dog at first, and I trained her to be a service dog. Now she did wash out. If you're new to the service dog world, washing out is when a dog doesn't make it. And that's something you do need to consider when you're training your own service dog, period. But especially when you're training your own service dog from an existing pet. They don't always have the perfect, I don't want to say perfect. What's a good word for this? They don't really always have the best foundation. Yes, foundation to success. It's really hard to do a perfect foundation, and really even organizations can't do a perfect foundation. But the better the foundation, the greater the chance of success. And so when you have a pet dog, or like my first dog, Zoe, she was a rescue off the streets. First 6-8 months of her life was spent on the streets. And to a degree, that might actually be great socialization for her, because she's used to all the core noises and stuff like that. Of course, depending on how they look at it. I always think about the analogy of the father with 2 sons that was a drunkard. And both his 2 sons grew up with his father, who drank a lot and was just horrible. And one's like, well, I'm never gonna drink because I saw my father drink, and I don't want to be like that. And the other one grew up to be, I'm gonna drink because I saw my father drink. And that's the way life is. So you have these 2 people that were in the exact same situation, but they looked at it differently. So you could have a stray dog that went through a horrible beginning of life on the streets, being chased, maybe almost run over by cars, and they turn out kind of horribly just because everything in life was scary. It was horrible. Or they might have had a fantastic start because they got so confident because all this stuff never really hurt them and they were fine. They just, learned to move out of the street, maybe, hopefully, when there was a car coming. So, not saying a shelter dog's going to be better at service dog. Being a service dog, not going to say it's going to be worse. It really depends on the dog's temperament, how they learn, how well they recover, and everything like that. But I'm going to do a different video on how, like, picking a service dog. So, but consider a dog's age into consideration. How old's your dog? Add 2 to 3 years, and then see how long you have before the typical retirement point for the service dog that you're looking for. And is that the time you're going to spend in it, is those 2 to 3 years you're going to spend with that dog, training it to be your service dog, is it going to be worth that amount of time they have as an actual working dog, as an actual working career? So you gotta think of that. And then the next thing is need before breed. So if you have, we'll just do an extreme case just so it's, you know, obvious. You have a Chihuahua and you need a mobility dog, all right? Just because you absolutely love this dog and this is the best dog ever, you need a bigger dog, all right? Now I have seen people like in wheelchairs and stuff like that that use Chihuahuas, and that's because they don't really use them as mobility. They use them for like item retrieval. And you know, some people are like, oh, small dog can't do item retrieval. Oh my gosh, small dogs are great, honestly. One, they don't eat that much, so you can feed them really well and not, you know, break the bank. Their poops are really small too. They're a lot easier to travel with. All of their gear is teeny, so it's easy to pack in your suitcase if you're ever traveling, or put in your bag. And they're really handler focused. A small dog is very much so handler focused. And of course this runs into a lot of problems with some people, and that's why you get some of these more aggressive little dogs, because people don't train them properly. But I had, you know, the one I was talking about, Zoe. She was my rescue off the street. She was a Chihuahua Terrier mix. She was about 7 pounds at her leanest. Now she flexes between 8 and 6 as she gets, you know, more heavy. And, you know, it's hard to control older dogs' weight, especially when they don't exercise regularly, which is really hard. I think she's like 15 now. But little dogs are fantastic, and they learn extremely well, they learn extremely fast if you sit down and really teach them. I really need to put a video up. I have it on my old channel, but I think I need to pull it off and put it on my new channel of my little dog doing a whole bunch of like retrieval tasks and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So I need to put that one up. But anyway, yes, need before breed. So just because you absolutely love the dog you have does not mean it's perfect for what you need. So you need to look at what you need, especially if it's like mobility, where you need a certain weight and height. You need to look at that first. And so sometimes, you know, it's hard, especially if you have emotional attachment to a dog you already have. But, you know, this is all hard stuff, right? There's no easy answer for a lot of these questions. It's something you have to evaluate yourself, because you might be thinking in the back of your mind that I can only afford one dog. So if you can't train the dog that you have to get rid of that dog before you get another dog, all right? I understand that. I feel that. That's a horrible situation. But it might be that, you know, you could try doing training with that dog, but they may not make it to be a service dog. And that's okay. You could probably learn a lot training that dog, so you know when you get your next puppy. But, you know, let that dog live out its life. And I mean, you live this long without a service dog, you could live a little bit longer. Service dog is not the end all be all in health management. So that's about it for like my rant. All right, so let's get to, you know, the good stuff, right? How do you go about training your pet as a service dog? Well, first, basic obedience, like I said before, you really need to get a good basic obedience in your dog first. So go to some Petco classes, or even better, find a good trainer in your area, because when you start getting into the service dog training, there's a lot of advanced concept, a lot of advanced training And it's really good to already have a repertoire, or already have knowledge of a person that's a really good quality trainer. And I'm not saying Petco trainers aren't super quality trainers. Yes, you can luck out. There has been some trainers that just go to Petco because it's easier, but they do know a lot, and they are really good trainers. They just happen to be at Petco. But there are a lot of trainers that don't know a lot at Petco, so just keep that in mind. You know, use the basic obedience that you need to train your dog first to kind of figure out a trainer in your area that you like, that you could afford, and start, you know, discovering how professional they are, and do you like their teaching style? Do they really evaluate your dog for who they are, or do they just run you through some basic stuff? Because you really do need to remember to train the dog in front of you. Don't try to train someone else's dog on your dog. Every dog is different, just like all of us are different. We all learn a little bit differently. And if you accept that and you try to work with your dog to try to communicate best how they learn, then your dog's gonna learn faster. It's gonna be less stressful, and it's just gonna have a better outcome. So first, basic obedience classes. I would suggest using it to scout out some good trainers for later training. And then socialization. You know, make sure that they're good around other people, strangers, people in hats, people in glasses, people with canes and strollers. You don't want them to be scared of any of this stuff. The public can be scary, so you have to do a really good job of socialization. So, basic socialization, which hopefully you did when you got your dog, and basic obedience. So you might have already got that down. Whatever socialization you think you've done with your dog, though, do more, because it's an insane, it will never hurt as long as you're doing it correctly. It's an insane amount of stuff that service dogs see opposed to pet dogs. So yeah, so basic good training, you know, get their heels, down sits, and service dogs need to listen the first time you say it. So if you find yourself, you know, on a pet level of obedience, and you know, like, yeah, they say sit 5 times, then she sits. No. So for a service dog, when you say sit, they need to sit. Right? Right, Elsa? Sit. There you go. Let's go. So I hope I actually got her in the frame there. But and I didn't have a treat. That's another thing. No treats. Now again, you don't do that right off the bat. But yeah, basic obedience, socialization. Really work on those. Then figure out what your task is going to be. You know, we talked about tasks. Figure out your tasks. Look up some videos. I have a video on how to teach touch, which is will be linked up here. The cards are down below. And that's one of the main medical alert ones that your dog will need to know. So I highly suggest, if you're thinking of medical alert or any kind of alert like that, that you go ahead and teach touch as part of your basic obedience. And that's going to help you down the road. Let's go. So write down your tasks, what your dog needs to learn, and then start working some public access, starting with pet-friendly places. So go to Petco. Some Home Depots are pet-friendly, some are not, so check the door. Usually they'll have a sticker on the door. If there's no food in that establishment, they can be pet-friendly. Doesn't mean they are, but they don't sell food under the law. They can be pet-friendly if they choose to be so. Some strip malls or outdoor malls are pet-friendly. Go to those. Go on busy days. Go on non-busy days. Go non-busy first. And then if they do good, busy days. You don't want them sniffing a bunch of other people. You want them pottying in the right spaces and all that. And then when your dog is good, they're listening to all their obedience commands, then you move on to non-pet friendly places. Of course, after you looked up if your dog in training has access rights in your state. it seems very simple, but those are the really things that you need to focus on, is basic obedience, socialization, public access, friendly, task training, not in that particular order, but, and then advanced obedience, really, service dog obedience, level obedience. And yeah, then you have yourself a service dog. It takes 2 to 3 years to perfect everything. They have to be obedient in all situations. They have to be calm. But to explain everything that they need to do, definitely going to take some more videos. So if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a thumbs up. If you would like more service dog content, do hit the subscribe button down below. I do appreciate it. We are almost at 1,000, guys. I am so excited. Thank you everyone who has subscribed and has watched my videos. Thank you so much. I enjoy making these videos for you, and I hope you do enjoy watching them. Getting so tongue-tied. Anyway, I will see you next time. Bye!